הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. How good it is to be together, together as one in love, joy and laughter. How good it is to be in this moment together, כולנו ביחד. Please join with me and sing nice and loud. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. How good it is to be together, together as one in love, joy and laughter. How good it is to be in this moment together, כולנו ביחד.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It is good to be here together. And Shabbat is really this time where we are free from anxiety. You know, the rabbis say that on Shabbat we are to not only finish our work, but even if we don't finish our work for the week, we act as if we did. That we really take a moment to completely let go of anything that has to be done, that any worries or concerns or any of those little nagging fears of what might happen in the future that might not be so good, those fears that our minds ruminate over, and we just completely let it go. Because Shabbat is tapping into a deeper reality than what our minds tell us on a constant day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis. And the deeper reality is that what we have is right here. So I want you to join me in taking a deep breath and really letting out everything that is not about the beauty of this moment. Let's do one more. And if you're around making dinner or doing something else, come on over to the screen. Take a moment to just give this gift to yourself. And if you have candles, please get them ready. In a moment, we're gonna light together. And it's my pleasure to invite onto our screen, it'll take me a second, Amy Packer, our president of our congregation, to help lead us. And I'm just gonna find her name here. Okay.
Here we go. Want to sit down?
And Amy, you can mute yourself too. So Cantor Young will lead us in the blessing. So you can just light. Beautiful.
I want to share that my day began with bringing in Shabbat with Sharsheret, which is an organization helping women with various resources for breast cancer and ovarian cancer. And I, along with a couple of other community leaders, talked about the theme of light as we brought in Shabbat together this morning. And some of you may have heard this beautiful acronym shared by a friend of mine. As we bring in that Shabbat light, think of love, inspire, give, heal, and transform. This time of Shabbat is one where we can let go of the week, breathe in that new soul, and find that breath of God to help us renew ourselves over Shabbat. So I'm going to ask us once more to close our eyes and take a slow, deep breath through the nose and breathe out our week. This time with the inhale, we think of breathing in that light of Shabbat, that new soul. And we continue with Lecha Dodi as we welcome in our Shabbat bride. Yalalala Lecha Dodi, Yalalala Likrat Kala, Yalalala Penei Shabbat, Penei Shabbat Mekabel, Yalalala Lecha Dodi. בדיבור אחד השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. La 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 בואי ושלום, עטרת בלה, גם בשמחה ובצהולה, תוך אמונה עם סגולה, בואי
we're aware that we all come to Shabbat from different places. For some of us, we are thinking about loved ones that we've lost because we we have a yard site or somebody's passed recently, and we as a community can hold all of us here. That even as we might be singing songs of joy, we're also holding our arms in loving embrace, letting the Holy One give our comfort through each other. So if you are here for a yard site this evening, or feeling the loss of a loved one, we say Hamakom Yenechem Etchem. May the Holy One comfort you.
May your wonder be celebrated. May your name be consecrated. May your brilliance never fade from the magnificent world you made. May your ways prevail in our own days, in our own lives, and in the life of all Israel. And let us say, Amen. And let us say, may your name receive the same beauty that you bring. Though you are far beyond the sweetest songs we could ever sing. And let us say, Amen. And let us say, Amen. And let us say, Amen. And let us say, Amen.
Please rise for the Baruch Hu as we all stand together in our separate homes, but together as one.
ברכו את אדוני
You may be seated.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בדברו מרים ערבים בחוכמה פותח שערים God of creation, who makes the evening fall from light into darkness with the setting of the sun, who unfold the heavens with the brilliant moon and stars, and wrap our souls with peace. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בדברו מרים ערבים בחוכמה פותח שערים ברוך אתה אדוני המרים ערבים.
One of the ways that our tradition, that our sages would would frame the reciting of Torah is to do it with a blessing. So when we read the Torah, we say a blessing before and after it. And in our prayer service, when we come to kind of a central piece of Torah, which is the Shema, there always has to be a blessing before it, one that is opening us to the divine reality that the Torah is speaking about. And in this case, the reality of the oneness of God, that everything, all of us, inside us, around us, everything as an expression of the alive, creative one that we call God. And what's wonderful about the blessing before the Shema is it's a blessing of love, ahavat olam, or ahava rabbah. It's a blessing of love. And I think there's no accident that when we're talking about the deep reality of the universe, that reality of that oneness, it's love is not something that is an emotion that we can feel, but it's a reality that we can tune into. And so I want us to as we say the Shema together, and please, in your own homes, make sure that you close your eyes, you say the Shema, whether you want to sit or stand according to your custom, but that this is one that you, as you say it and as it reverberates, what really reverberates in your body with the Shema is the expression of the reality of love that all of us are a part of. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמת. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלף. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Uflos
We're about to enter into our silent Amidah. And the Amidah means standing, and it's the standing prayer, and it's kind of the core of the service. And what I'm going to invite us into is, once Cantor Young starts us out with the words Adonai Tzivatai Tiftach, which are, my God, open my lips so that I may declare your praise. After we take some silent time after she sings that, I'm going to take you through a little interpretive version of the Amidah. And what I want to invite you to do is, as you hear me sharing the prayers or the wishes or the opening, that you try to make that your own. So let the words that I say be your own prayer. And ultimately, if even opening up, that it's not just me saying the prayer, but that it's thousands of years of tradition that's coming through me all the way back from Sinai that can now come through each one of us.
Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha.
So I want to invite you to close your eyes. Let this be some special sacred time for yourself. And follow along in your own heart and your own attention with the words that I say. We call on you, source of life, through the lives of our ancestors, to open us to your great loving kindness. Let us be an embodiment of your love. Blessed are you, source of life, who wraps us in the kindness of Abraham. You are the great force that animates all life. You sustain the breath in me and allow me to rise from the dust each day. Blessed are you, source of life, who enlivens all of us. You are the sacred essence that makes all things beautiful. Blessed are you, source of life, the sacred essence. Please, Holy One, be pleased with our rest. Satisfy us with your goodness, purify our hearts so we can serve you in truth. Let us dive deep into your holy Shabbat awareness. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of life, who sanctifies Shabbat. Through our sacred service, we dissolve ourselves in you in loving sacrifice. Blessed are you, source of life, who returns the divine presence to our hearts. We thank you for the gift of our lives and miracles that you unfold every moment of the day. Blessed are you, source of life, who allows us to open to gratitude. Grant us a deep sense of wholeness through a vision of your oneness. May all people in the world open to a profound awareness of peace. Blessed are you, source of life, who blesses your people with peace.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Tasim Le'olam, Tasim Tasim Le'olam, Ki Ata Melech Adon לכל השלום, שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים תשים לעולם, תשים תשים לעולם, בכל בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים תשים לעולם, תשים תשים לעולם. This time, our thoughts turn to those in our community, our loved ones, friends, family, who are in need of healing this Shabbat. This is such a complicated time that we are living in, and the beauty of our tradition recognizes that we lack wholeness, not just physically, but in spirit, and we have the opportunity to lift each other up, praying for wholeness, praying for connection. So at this time, we want to invite you to share the names of any loved ones who you are thinking of. You can add them into the chat so that we can hold on to their names. And we also take this time to think of the caregivers, those who are in hospitals, in homes, even we as caregivers reaching out to friends and family who are in need of that spiritual connection. We are the healers tonight. Elna Rafanala. Ana Elna.
Shabbat Shalom. The story of the manna falling from heaven for the Israelites in the wilderness is usually told as a message of faith in God and the care that God takes in providing for us. Moses, in recounting the experience of the manna in this week's Parsha, says, "Remember the long way that God has made you travel in the wilderness these past 40 years, that God may test you by hardships to learn what was in your hearts. God subjected you to the hardship of hunger and gave you manna to eat, which neither you nor your ancestors had ever known, in order to teach you that a person does not live on bread alone, but a person may live on anything that God decrees." Now, at first glance, the story of the manna brings up the reality that the future is always uncertain, that we never truly know whether we will have food or what we think we need, and that our connection with God is one that happens through trust, that God will provide. One of the key elements of the story that's told in Exodus is that if a person tried to gather enough manna that fell from the sky for not just the current day, but tried to store it, it would rot overnight. So the experience of trust is a day-to-day experience. In the Talmud, Rabbi Eliezer says that a person should not gather from one day to the next. One who has what to eat today and says, "What shall I eat tomorrow?" That's one that lacks faith, as it says, a day's portion on its day, meaning that the one that created the day created one's sustenance. So according to Rabbi Eliezer, the rhythm of manna deliberately involved being without food overnight so as to cultivate a sense of faith and trust, to know that ultimately our sustenance comes from God. Rabbi Eliezer critiques the person who devotes their energy to gathering manna for the next day, who spends too much time concerned with material needs, that we need to know that it's God's power that animates the world day in and day out, and that power will also sustain us. Now, at face value, Rabbi Eliezer's approach may seem naive and even irresponsible. Does he really expect people not to tend to their livelihood and live hand to mouth? Does he really think that God wants us to live with that level of insecurity? This view has to be paired with Rabbi Eliezer's later comments in the Midrash, where he teaches that we can really focus on Torah and spiritual matters when we're not focused on our physical needs. We only focus on what's necessary for that day. Now, it's important to realize that Rabbi Eliezer was part of the priestly class. He was a Kohen, So people had to bring him and the other priests offerings of food. He was also wealthy, which might contextualize his approach. Perhaps only someone who has never had to worry about having enough food could romanticize the dependency of the desert existence. His position may be fulfilling exactly what this week's Torah portion demands, that when we find ourselves in situations of abundance, we make sure not to get carried away with material wealth and the arrogance that it can accompany that wealth, that our own strength and power and know-how is what created it. Instead, we can reorient our inner compass through recall of the desert experience when it was clear that our own wealth is not the source of providing for our needs. Rabbi Eliezer's approach is an important teaching. While this approach, from a standpoint of abundance, framing the insecurity of eating manna as a catalyst for deeper faith may be a compelling message for some of us, it's difficult to hear this message of faith and trust when we might be, or have been, or know someone who needs to spend quite a lot of time and energy to make ends meet. For the reality of our homeless, entire families living in their cars, struggling to send their kids to school, getting enough food for each day is not only a test, but an affliction. And the passage in this week's portion affirms that the experience of the Israelites in the desert was one of suffering. The passage ends with, God who fed you manna in the desert in order to afflict you. To which the Talmud comments, one who has bread in his basket is not similar to one who does not have bread in his basket. This statement draws us into the psychology of food insecurity inherent in the eating of manna. When one has no additional food in their bread basket, when the shelves are not stocked, eating a meal is synonymous with profound loss. With each bite, instead of feeling more satisfied, one becomes profoundly aware of their shrinking food supply. It's an act of consumption in its full sense, eating that simultaneously depletes. The anxiety that accompanies each bit leaves no room to enjoy the food. The rhythm of the eating of the manna, getting only enough food for one day, involved an intensity of uncertainty that made it no normal eating experience. While those of us who live in a place of food abundance can view the teaching of the manna as an invitation to enjoy and be grateful for each bite, the charge to remember eating manna is also a demand to relive the profound trauma of food insecurity that the desert experience involved, and to be cognizant that thousands here in Orange County are having a similar experience. Another sage in the Talmud, Rabbi Yehoshua, does not idolize one who doesn't worry about the next day's meal. He cannot imagine a God that wanted us to be in a state of dramatic food insecurity. He teaches that every day the people would gather not only the day's manna, but also the next, just like on Shabbat. On Friday morning, a double portion of the manna would fall, and the people would need to gather the manna for Friday and for Shabbat, since none of it would fall on Shabbat. Rabbi Yehoshua goes against the literal meaning of the text in the Exodus when he teaches that the Israelites would do the next day's gathering every day, not just on Shabbat. For him, he could not imagine a God that would put us in a state of such anxiety. Contrary to the text and to Rabbi Eliezer, he taught that the people of Israel were being trained to know that they would always go to sleep with the security of next day's meal in their basket, that they were being trained to make sure to pursue a livelihood and not live in fear of waiting to get their daily bread each morning. So while we can definitely heed Rabbi Eliezer's approach of not being overly focused on our own material needs if we already have bread in our basket for tomorrow, we also need to remember Rabbi Yehoshua's teaching that people who are out without food are suffering. If we're in positions of abundance, it's easy to forget the reality of those not far from us and have our views about politics, local or national, be shaped without being informed by others' suffering. Each of us can put our energy and resources towards helping others have bread in their basket. The United Way's campaign to end homelessness, the Orange County Food Bank, and South County Outreach are doing phenomenal work in Orange County, helping individuals and families get back on their feet. You can check out their website, call them up, and ask, what can I do to put bread in another's basket? In this way, we live our sacred story here and now. We'll begin to close our service with the Aleinu prayer. I invite you to stand if you're able, if it's comfortable. And in your own home, you can join me in Aleinu. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer reshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, vanachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו You may be seated if you'd like. Micah, now would be a good time to put up the yahrzeit and shloshim names as we get ready for Mourner's Kaddish. You may stand or sit according to your custom for Mourner's Kaddish. Let's see, I'm going to need my glasses for this one. Hold on one moment. Okay, there we go. So in our temple family, we're in the Shloshim period for Sybil Scheinman, the mother of our member Barbara Scheinman, Zena Phillips, mother of our member Merritt Weiss, Ellis Joseph Seligman, father of our member Bonnie Weiderman, Pauline Aline, mother of our member Jody Halbrick, Michael Richard Rosen, father of our member Neil Rosen, Leslie Brody, husband of our member Marilyn Brody and father of our member Jill Reisler, Sylvia Belzer, mother of our member Wendy Levin. We're also commemorating the following yahrzeits: Florence Eisner, Benjamin Annis, Pauline Bardak, Stephanie Blasnick, Fanny Cherry, Louis Cherry, Esther Cohen, Rose Dater, Max Dolensky, Christopher Edwards, Alvin Feinberg, Lazarus Fishbon, Louise Foreman, Michael Frank, Max Joseph Friedman, Al Hartenstein, Jerry Held, Connie Ann Hoffman, Bernice Holliday, Al Kahan, Louis Karpf, Eileen Kaufman, Marcia Kamek, Andrea Elena Kraus, Charles Lubach, Marshall Moskowitz, Harold Matenko, Esther Reich, Werner Roman, Adele Rooklin, Seidel Rosenberg, Gertrude Shankman, Ava Scherer, Roberta Siegel, Joan Seligson, Charlie Schaefer, Barbara Sickle, Ann Thaw, Sadie Weinberg, David Weisenberg, Ava Welland, and Stephen Feldman. We'll make sure that Stephen is in next week's pamphlet. So I invite you to stand if it's your custom for Mourner's Kaddish in your own home, and you can join me either with the prayer or with the response. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei rabbah, ve'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'omei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal, shmei b'kudasha b'richu, Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, da'amiran b'yama v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. And before we do our closing prayer, I just want to give one little announcement, which is next Thursday, August 13th, we're celebrating the 10th anniversary of our dual affiliation with a public YouTube event and Zoom after party, which is RSVP only, the after party. The event is a premiere documentary film made by the Wool family as a gift to the community. You'll experience the story of the merger between Temple Bethel and Congregation Elad and hear from all the people in both communities that made it happen. The film starts at 7 p.m. and the Zoom after party is 8:15 p.m. You can find all the details in the Monday and Thursday blasts and the website. We hope you'll join us. If you have a cup of wine or juice, please, you can hold it up now and join us together in Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila lamikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta Ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, ve'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. And before we do we say the blessing over the bread, the hamotzi together, I just want to express my gratitude to Cantor Young. It is so wonderful to be sharing Shabbat services together and be with all of you. And we have, as much as things are tough right now, we have really a wonderful year ahead of love and community. So, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Tavon.
I'm taking off. There we go.
Shabbat
All right.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.